This is a Minecraft village, and for 2 episodes we've developed new builds all around it, improved villager lives, and worked hard. But today I'm going to do the biggest development yet, an entirely new neighborhood. So here's the plan. On the southern part of the landmass, there's this nice cove along a wide river. And I want to develop this cove into a fishing neighborhood with docks, fishing huts, and then build up the area with other development as well, to make a well-rounded neighborhood with great lives for every single villager that moves there. So let's get right into it. Right away, I want to be careful with my planning, because I'm developing the coast, and it's a fishing village. But I want to make sure that public access to the waterfront isn't blocked off. So me and KT got to work building this boardwalk. And this is going to remain a public walkway even as the fisheries develop to make sure that the waterfront is eternally public. Oh, now I did want to say this early in the video, so while I developed the dock, let me give you a little context. I recently went on a fun trip to St. John's, Newfoundland, and while I was there, I was thinking a lot about the village and how a lot of what I saw there would be really cool in the world. So I'm definitely taking a lot of inspiration from that, and I'll point out specifically where and which builds got inspired by Newfoundland as I build them. So developing this new fishing neighborhood is going to require a ton of factors, and here they are. Fishing huts, docks, a gathering area, diversified commercial to broaden the economy and expand what you can do in this new village, and of course, dedicated residential. The most important part though, the backbone to a fishing village, is fishing huts and docks. And that's what we're going to do first. So I went to gather resources. What I had in mind was bricks, because I wanted to create a red roof. Now at first, I was just going to try and find a source of clay. But then I remembered I can actually source bricks from the mason, and that would probably be a lot better, because it means I'm helping out local businesses. And that's my new policy from now on. If I can get the resources from the villagers, that's the way I'm going to get it. So I just harvested the wheat farm a couple of times to get emeralds from the farmer, and bought all the bricks I needed. And with the resources down, I began developing the first structure of this new neighborhood. And this is of course going to be a fisher's house. It's mostly very similar to the house I built last episode in terms of the oak and window design that I got from the armory, but this time I went for a brick roof, and I think it came out pretty neat looking. I really like this a lot. And for the interior, I decided to go with a birch floor. And again, taking inspiration from the previous build, I decided to go with a color theme for decorating. And this time I went with a blue theme. And then I hung up a painting and some fish decor. And finally, I built a fishing dock for the fisherman who lives here to use. I put a barrel down as his work site, all ready to go. Now, you'll notice that the roof on this house has no overhang on the sides. And that's because I plan on building the neighboring houses flush with the main house. See, when I went to St. John's, I spent an afternoon in this hamlet neighborhood. I don't know what specifically it is, but in St. John's called Kitty Vitty. And one part I really liked was this part of the bay right here, and this is the image from Wikipedia. And you can probably tell this is the inspiration for the boardwalk area, but I love the variety of houses, the different colors and types, and how close they are all together. So that's what I'm going to do here. So for the next house, we used some cherry wood for vibrant color and birch for the main wall. We built a thin but tall house, and with a stripped oak log floor. And then we went for this neat roof design where we use a mix of polished andesite and stone brick, and I think it gave it a pretty cool texture. For the interior, we went for a pink theme to match the outside corners. Now this was a smaller hut, so we wanted to make sure it didn't get cramped, so we ended up making it just a one-man hut. Then we did a little decor with windows, and we messed around with paintings until we got a winning set. And in the end, I think it came out pretty nice. Now, real quick, we built the first part of the new road system, basically just encasing the new houses in a proper block. So then, to finish off the block, I began on the third house. Now, as you can see, the boardwalk curves here a little bit along the coast, so to keep the new house flush with the boardwalk, I made it this kind of interesting shape. I used stone bricks and logs, which I'm going to strip. I'm really enjoying developing this village because it gives me a chance to experiment with interesting or bizarre material choices that I might not really otherwise get a chance to use. Anyway, on the inside, I started by doing this. I don't really know what to call this like reverse internal slope I've got going on here. But I love the way the brick of the other house kind of pokes through. I think it ended up looking pretty cool. And then for this one, continuing with the color themes theme, I went for a red theme, and it looks very classic Minecraft. Then I gave every bed a shelf, and then I threw up some of these vertical paintings. I really like the 2x1 vertical paintings because they sort of look like posters. I imagine it's like the villagers are putting up posters of the celebrities they like. Anyway, then I did these foot of the bed red carpets. And when doing some bedside tables, I found that for some reason, fences can't be below paintings. I didn't know this before, but hey, learned something new. Anyway, the decor was finished for the bed area. And for the living room area, I did a kitchen table for the villagers to eat lunch and relax at. This took multiple attempts to get right. I just couldn't make up my mind. But finally, I did a welcome mat. And I really love the interior of this house. I think it feels really cozy. It sort of reminds me of the Hogwarts Gryffindor common room in a strange way. Anyway, finally, I gave this house their own dock, with barrels for the fishers as well. And there we go. The first part of this new village was done. We have fishing huts, fishing docks, and this is the backbone of any real fishing neighborhood. We also have a park area with the boardwalk. I mean, it's sort of strange to call the boardwalk a park area, but it's like a public recreation area, so that sort of thing. So then, it was time for the next step, a gathering area. And this time, instead of a park, I'm going to put it in a building. Now, this is going to be pretty much completely based on a single building from real life, and that's the first time I'm doing this. Specifically, back to the town of Kitty Vitty I was in. I went to this restaurant called the Kitty Vitty Brewing Co., and I like a few things about it. One, you can't really see from this picture from Wikipedia, because I guess it's old, but I'll just draw on what I'm talking about. They had like a patio here on the second floor. I ate there, by the way. And it was really great because you could enjoy the view and fresh air, and you're above the water. And you can do that all while you're eating. So I wanted to do that. And I also like the color. I can't do this exact color, but I will do a bright color. Now, my initial plan was to basically clone this building one for one, but I ended up changing quite a bit about it over time to make it work better for Minecraft, and I kind of just ended up having different ideas. So I cleared the area. I reserved some area for a road for future expansion, and I got to work. My plan is to basically have an inside area with a food counter and some seats, and then a bigger patio where most of the eating and hanging around can happen. I used dark oak, stone bricks, and then I decided to use light blue wool. See, I really want this village, like St. John's, Newfoundland, to have vibrant colors. And aside from pink, none of the colored woods in Minecraft are really vibrant, so I'm going to use wool. KT also came up with this cool checkered design for the indoor area floor, and then we got to work on the patio. We dug up the dirt and decided we were going to bring it out all the way to the water. Then I made these large windows here for when it's windy and everyone needs to be like in the indoor part of the restaurant. We decided to make the patio flush with the boardwalk color-wise by using planks for it as well. We did swap the borders of the big windows to dark oak though. We decided it kind of made it fit better. And then we used dark oak fences to contrast the planks. We then did the roof, and we used more of the dark oak we got earlier because honestly I really like how it looks with the blue wool. And we went for this very unique roof design where the inside had this triangular roof and the outside patio had a large flat roof, and I think it came together really well. See, this has become one of my favorite builds because pretty much every decision here was made on a whim. The blue wool, the checker floor, the big windows, and the bizarre roof design. But I think it came together perfectly. Now, does it look anything like the building it was initially based on? Not really, but I think it came out fantastic and unique on its own. So, I finished up the interior with all the tables I need. And now, see, it might seem kind of silly to make a restaurant in Minecraft, but as I said before, this is going to be the meeting place for the village, so it will be completely functional. Because I put the bell here, so this is where the villagers gather each day. Then I put the food counter in. I put both a butcher and a fisher here. So that way, you can buy local fish from the newly built docks, or you can order meat imported from the northern part of the village. And then finally, I put up a name. I named the restaurant Joe's, mostly because it's a 4-letter name and I needed a 4-letter name. But also because Joe's looks a lot better than Bob's, because bee banners just don't look very good. And the name Bob's is half bees. So next, I wanted to develop something different. See, I want to make sure all the activities and jobs in the village aren't only related to fishing. I need to diversify. And I was going through the list of villager professions and just thinking, and Fletcher's caught my eye. So, I decided to do an archery range. It may sound a little out there, but it's a good and actually functional recreational building and a villager work site at the same time. So, I got to work. Now first, this little bit of road I reserved earlier, I continued it. See, I want to make sure that the archery range is a little bit out of the way. I'm going to take a lot of precautions to make sure that arrows aren't just flying out all over the place, but for the sake of extra safety, I'm going to keep it a little ways away. Then I built the little hut. I'll fill this in later. First, I wanted to work on the range. Now, an archery range is really very simple. It's just like an area with targets. The difficulty is, as I just said, making sure arrows aren't flying off everywhere. So I'm taking inspiration from the summer camp I went to, and I'm going to dig the archery range into a 2-block trench as the first line of precaution. So rogue arrows, if they're low enough, are going to end up just staying in the pit. Now, you may be wondering why KT keeps popping in and out while I'm always online. And the answer is that KT is a lot more employed than I am. I do work at a smoothie shop, but I get a lot less shifts. So I have more time to work on the world. But don't worry, KT will be coming back time and time again. Next, I put up a fence. On its own, that's not really going to stop very many arrows. It's more just to contain the area, but it will be part of another piece of protection in a moment. So my second line of proper protection, a huge backboard. See, most arrows are going to be flying this way, and some are definitely going to way overshoot. So the solution is to just make a huge wall for the arrows to run into. I also did some smaller sideboards to block any ricochet from arrows that, break and snap into pieces. I framed the birch with oak, and I think that looks really sick. And also it kind of cups the arrows so they hit further back. And then if they fly to the side, they get caught by the edge. And then I added a whole ton of fence. And again, this just looks really cool, but it also adds a whole bunch of holes and blockages so arrows all get caught up in there. I think in real life they would use like a net or tarp here, and fences are the closest thing. And finally, here's the best defense, I think. I dug up this little bit of road to make space, and I fenced off huge sections on each side of the range, and I filled them with trees and foliage. And this, I think, is going to be the best natural barricade to keep all the arrows in. And at the same time, it's also more area that's permanently greened up. And then, to close it off, I worked on the inside. I did an oak floor because I cannot stop using the oak and birch wall and floor combo. I love that combo no matter which way you do it, so you'll notice I use it a lot. I also did a staircase and made a firing line. I'm sort of styling this after a paintball place I went to for like a kid's birthday party back in, I don't even know, like 2013. And I only really vaguely remember it, but it had a counter like this with all the paintball guns hung up behind it. And I liked that back when I saw it, so I did that here. I also put 2 Fletcher's tables to buy your own bow, and it creates 2 more jobs in the fishing neighborhood. And there we go. I put the targets down and we were done. I did a close, medium, and far target for varied practice, and now I'm gonna make the inaugural shot on the target. And hey, in my opinion, that's pretty damn close. Okay, and look at that. We now have fisheries, a gathering spot, and a new recreational activity and commercial area. This village is gonna be bustling. And now, to top it all off, I wanted to build another set of houses. That dedicated residential area I talked about earlier. Now, in St. John's, there are famously these really brightly colored row houses, and I think they look really good. And I want to build a couple here. Now, these builds are going to be pretty much the exact opposite of Joe's, because where with that we made a ton of random decisions, this one we're going with a strict plan that we made. So first, we need glazed terracotta, and to get that, we need to go on an adventure. So here's the plan. Step 1, we need to go to the dark forest, where a while ago I discovered a lush cave in the garden. Step 2, we enter the cove, swim through the water, and enter a lush cave. Step 3, dig clay. We need to find a spot that's not too watered and just strip hundreds of clay balls out of it. Step 4, set up a series of furnaces where we can smelt the clay from blocks to terracotta and then terracotta to glazed. And boom, there we go. We now have all the materials we need. Now, even though it's a nice natural feature, we did have to fill in this lava pool. I debated a lot as to whether it was too destructive to fill it in, but there's just no way we can keep the villagers safe with a giant boiling lava pool in the middle of the fishing village. So, because we had such a strict plan, we actually started with the front lawn. Essentially, we just built this little covered garden for the house. And then we started with the glazed terracotta. See, this is a block I rarely see get used for house building, but it was one of only a few of the colored blocks that are really vibrant with color. So I'm pretty happy to be using it. We then started building the top layer, and we did this out of concrete. I think it makes a pretty cool, like, 2-level effect. Now, KT got to work on the roof of the pink house, and that was only a one-person job, so I got to work on the second house, and that one's gonna be blue. KT did these pretty good high-up windows as well. Now, pink is a lucky color in Minecraft, because it has a wood type that matches it. Blue, not so lucky. So we used dark oak for things like the doors in the blue house. But, you know what? I think it ended up looking great. But aside from the wood, the blue house was essentially identical to the pink house. So we were able to finish it up quite quickly once KT finished the pink one because we got to copy it block for block. Anyway, the facades were done. Facades, by the way, if you don't know, means like the front part of the house. So then I wrapped the houses around, finishing them off in every direction. A lot of what was done on the backside and walls was pretty much the exact same. But we did do some things different. For example, this back window, I did this crazy L-shaped design, and I think it ended up looking pretty cool. We had a strict plan, as I said, for the front facade, but for everything else, I'm just kind of freestyling. So I worked more on the outside, and then I got to work on the floors. After digging out the dirt, I perhaps unsurprisingly used planks for the floor. I do overuse them, but I just think oak planks look fantastic in like 99% of situations. Anyway, so I did the internal wall to separate the duplex, and I did it out of stone brick. And then I just finished up the rest of the outside. And it was hard work, but it was very rewarding, because at the end, I think these things came out looking pretty nice. Now, I mirrored the dark oak detailing from the front, and did some terraforming around the pink house, because it was a little bit buried in the dirt. And finally, I connected up the back doors to the main road. So now, it was interior design time. And this was an interesting place to work with, because I have windows on all of the sides except one, meaning placing a staircase, especially with a roof this high, would be difficult. The first design I tried was not very good. See, the problem I had was that, as I said, there's only one wall that isn't a window wall. But I can't build on that wall because there are doors on both sides, so any building of the staircase on this wall would be pretty intrusive to whichever door it points to. But I ended up coming up with this design, and I kind of think I nailed it. I think I did the best considering the space. So then I put up a table and chair on the bottom floor, hung some wall decor, and placed a carpet. This time, I didn't stick to a strict color theme. The house is blue, but the carpet is red. I did do blue beds on the top floor, though. Then I decorated with some bedside tables and a single bookshelf. I do want more bookshelves in the village. They're one of the ways villagers can have recreation at home, and they're good decor. I just need to make a cow farm so I can get the leather to make a lot of them. And I topped it off with a blue carpet and filled the remaining duplex gap. Oh, also, as a last-minute addition, I did some flower boxes on the back too, and then finally filled in both the back and front flower boxes. And just in time, KT is back. Now, the interior of this house is one part of the village KT did completely without me, so I just let KT write the script for this part of the video. So, for this section, consider these words KT's. So, to start out, I wanted to remove the stone brick and replace it with pink glazed terracotta. The pink glazed terracotta looks so much more cutesy than stone brick, which I think kind of clashed. Now, the house was pretty small, so I really had to cram the staircase in here. I added the dark oak to serve as a railing of sorts, and as a bonus, it created a little space for a closet under the stairs. I added the dark oak trapdoors as another railing to ensure no villagers would fall over the ledge. It was at this point I had to kick Black Scott Pig out because he kept jumping around and it was bothering me. So, as it seems, I'm pretty indecisive. I could not for the life of me decide what the bedroom should be decorated with. And I eventually settled on a checkered rug, with a light blue and dark blue carpet, a crafting table between the beds with a lantern, and a lovely little painting. I really like the cozy bedroom, and I thought that the additional space towards the ceiling was too much. So I added a divider between the bedroom and the new attic. Back on the main floor, I created a little table for the villagers to eat their meals at. Now, keep in mind that we've barely progressed in our world, so I don't have access to very many materials, which is why I keep using the same ones over and over again. I made a carpet that was light blue. Overall, I'm not overly happy with how the interior turned out. If you have any suggestions for how to improve it, let me know. Okay guys, back to my script. So, here we go, the list is complete. We now have all the parts necessary for a new functional fishing neighborhood. But guys, we are missing one key thing that we need to add to this village. Villagers. So, first, we brought a nitwit over in a boat, and we named him Neil, after Neil Armstrong, first man on the moon, because Neil was the first man in the new neighborhood. I think nitwits get hate for being useless trade-wise, but who better to pioneer new neighborhoods, considering they don't have to abandon a job? We also brought 2 unemployed villagers as well. And here we go. They instantly claimed beds and moved in. Now, I must have done something wrong with Neil, as he didn't disconnect from his old bed, but hey, that's okay. We can bring him back later. In the morning, both villagers came out to the boardwalk and became fishers. Over time, we'll bring in more newcomers, and the villagers will breed to increase the population. But for now, here we go. The village is looking amazing. We have new residents, and we can just relax and fish. Thank you so much for watching the video. The playlist for all the episodes is linked in the comments and the description, and along with credits for some of the images and the music. Hey guys, so I'm here at the end of editing the video, and I just want to say that between the time I started making this video and right now when I'm posting it, my previous 2 episodes have just completely blown up. I don't even know what to say, so I'm just going to say thank you. I really appreciate it. It's crazy. I've been making long-form videos for such a short amount of time, and these ones are already doing insanely well. So, yeah, I just want to say thank you, basically, and I really appreciate it. And a lot of you, I've read the comments. They're all fantastic. I'll respond to even more of them. I've just been working on this video, so I haven't responded to as many. And, sorry, I don't do the live gameplay plus speaking very much. But so many of you have asked for more videos, and I hope this longer one has satisfied maybe the more videos you wanted. And I'm going to get the next one up as soon as possible. But basically, thank you so much for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. I'm so happy you all like them. And yeah, I'll get the next one up right away. Thank you so much, and I'll see y'all soon.